Hello, all of you radiant beings. Thank you so much for tuning into this mini movement session to get you moving and grooving so the energy can flow that much more easily through your body and your mind, and you can feel better as a result. Today, I am going to be sharing with you one of my top 5 favorite poses of the Bowspring, and this pose is called Twisted Cat. So a little bit of backstory. I didn't always love Twisted Cat. Actually, when I first began my Bowspring practice, I really loathed this pose for several different reasons. One of them being it does a good job of pointing out where you're weak, where there are underused muscles that are just weighing the body down and weighing the body down in these postures. So that's always humbling when you're experiencing challenge and noticing how weak you are. I also didn't like this pose because it is such a deep side body opener. And my side bodies through most of my life have been very shortened, and I didn't have any tools to lengthen my side bodies. So coming into this pose, I just really felt that tightness through the side bodies. It was through practicing this pose repeatedly and consistently that, initially I felt really challenged by, and as I practiced, it became easier. But even through the challenge, I knew that it was so good for my body because it was such a deep opening that felt like it was a cellular and fascia quench. It was quenching something so deep inside of me that I didn't even know was thirsty. So even through the challenge of it, I experienced a lot of benefits, and it was those benefits that inspired me to keep revisiting it over and over and over. And so that's what I'll be sharing with you today. I'll take you through different variations of it. So if you want to turn up the volume and to experience that challenge, then you can absolutely go there. And if you are not feeling that, then it's going to be such a sweet side body opener anyway. So the benefits of Twisted Cat are numerous. One of them being, as I had mentioned before, it's so effective at opening and lengthening the side bodies because of the position of this posture and where the ribs and the hips are. The benefits to lengthened side bodies, an open belly, and elongated torso with the lower back curve are infinite. Couple of them being when you lengthen the side bodies and open up your side bodies, you're not only giving more space to your digestive and internal organs for them to pump and pulse and do their thing to serve your health and well-being, but when the side bodies are elongated, it actually quiets the QL muscles, the lower back muscles, which have a tendency to overwork in most people's bodies with most people's posture. So internal organ health, lower back health, and then also lengthening the side bodies. Interestingly enough, it helps to support the neck, bringing neck health into your experience, and also a really long neck, which is very healthy. When we're constantly dropping the ribs into the hips and pushing the ribs up into the ribs, we experienced a shortening of the side bodies and a compression of the organs, where all the organs feel a lot more claustrophobic and aren't able to pump and pulse to their primeness to support your well-being. So I hope you're excited to lengthen your side bodies, to lift your radiant heart. And for this class, I will invite you into a sacred space, your living room or an actual designated yoga space, or in your kitchen, wherever it is that you can mindfully move, and also have a blank wall space available. Before we hop into the actual movement of Twisted Cat and different variations of Twisted Cat, let's open up our ribs and begin to bring length into our side bodies as a gentle warm up to this. Meet me in a standing position if you are curious and you want to play along. And in this standing position, step your feet about shoulder width distance with your toes pointing forward. Bring a soft little bend into your knees, and When you bend your knees, go ahead and root your hips back rather than just dropping them down. So this is dropping them down, and that's not going to be helpful for our experience. So when we bend the knees, it's very subtle. The hips go back. Take the weight a little bit more forward through the paws of your feet. That's the front of your feet. And there's about a 65% weight through the paws and 40 or 35% weight through the heels. Take a great big deep breath in through your nose, really expanding the rib cage. Begin to lift your rib cage and lift the arms as a result of inflating the ribs. The arms are more in the front plane of the body with the palms facing in towards each other and the fingers curled in. Please cross your right wrist over your left. Arc your left ear behind your shoulder. Bend your knees and begin to elevate your right ribs towards the sky as you crescent towards the left. The arms, they gently push into each other to deepen this opening through the ribs. Bend and sit your bum back. Extend, elevate the ribs high. As you sit the hips back and lift the ribs, you can feel the energy of your side bodies get a little bit longer as you crescent like a rainbow. The wrists push into each other equally. And on your next inhalation, rise and lower the hands by your side. Just pause and feel. Lift your hands to your ribs and offer your body a great big deep breath in through your nose so that your ribs push wide into your hands. It's a 360-degree fullness that we aim for with the ribs, and that, my friends, is a continual lifelong journey for that level of embodiment. So there's always more to uncover, to fill up with, and with the ribs. Inhale, lift your arms. Keep that fullness through the ribs. Palms face each other, fingers curl in. This time, please cross your left wrist over your right and arc your right ear behind your shoulder. Bend your knees and sit your bum back, and then push into the ground to elevate your top ribs towards the sky. And you're crescenting like a rainbow, arcing up and over the right shoulder. Allow your breath to accompany this experience of opening your ribs and lengthening your side bodies. Sit your bum back, especially your left hip. Don't let it pop forward as you elevate the left ribs towards the sky. Lift your chin from your throat in here for 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, lift. Slowly lower the arms, but keep your ribs full. Keep your ribs open. That's going to be the key to lengthening our side bodies. So now that we have a little warmed up sensations moving through our tissues, let's go to a wall space where we can practice twisted kitty at the wall. Okay, I don't have a blank wall space, but I have a door, so that also works. Come to your space, and we want to be arms width distance from the structure that you are going to be using to support you. And step your hands a little bit higher and wider of your shoulders, just a little bit. It's kind of awkward with this window here, but I'm just going to work with it. Now, if you push into the wall, your back heart gets fuller, and allow your front ribs to expand just as much as the back ribs are. Step your feet back just a few inches so that you're coming off of your heels and your knees are slightly bent. When you bend the knees, keep the ribs lifting rather than letting the ribs drop. Begin to push into the wall or the door with your hands and begin to drag the hands energetically down towards the baseboards or the floor. So it's like you're doing this with your hands, but it's energetic. Widen your elbows and lift your chin from your throat. Let's take 3 pulses. This is a crouching kitty, so it's a variation from another pose that we do. If you bend your knees about 6 inches, move your butt back, push into the wall to elevate your ribs and extend your legs. Get longer through your spine as you reach back through your pelvic floor and up through the crown of the head. Can you feel how long and open your belly is? Soften your belly and let it bow forward. Let's take it into a twisted kitty at the wall. Feet are about hip width distance. Let's start by arcing your left ear behind your left shoulder. Twist your knees to the right. Lift your right ribs into the air. Relax your traps. Bend your knees and sit your bum back. Extend and imagine that you're pole vaulting over your left shoulder. Take a couple of bend and extends here, leaning back to open the front of your body, toning the sides of your body. Big deep breath. You can stay here for the last 5, or if you want to add on, I'm going to coach you to lift your right arm and hold the back of your right head, hold the back of your head. Now narrow your elbow so it comes in towards your face and lift your ribs towards the sky. Bend and extend for 5. Deep breath. Sweetly in through your nose. And 1. Inhale. Lower the hand if it's lifted. Spin your feet back to center. Let's come off of the wall just to check in as you gently push back from the wall. Lower your hands by your side and just pause and assess and feel. Notice if you can experience a difference from your right to your left. And then let's take it to the other side. Arms lift. From the fullness of your ribs, lower your hands wider and a little bit higher than your shoulders. This is very subtle. Arc your right ear behind your shoulder and begin to twist your knees to the left. I notice that I need to step my feet just a little further back so you can kind of play with the distance that your feet are from the wall. Push into the wall to keep your ribs full. Bend your knees and sit your bum back. Arc over the right shoulder, pushing and lifting your left rib towards the sky. You can lift your left hand and come up onto your fingers in a dome hand. Or to turn up the volume, you can lift your left hand and hold the back of your head. Narrow your left elbow. Gently push your head back into your hand and your hand back into your head as you pole vault over the right shoulder, bending and extending for 5, 3, 2, and 1. Release your hand from your head and spin your feet back to center. Bend your elbows, gently push off of the wall, lower your hands. Pause, feel, and just experience this really deep opening. For the next variation, I'll have you come to your yoga mat and I will see you there. When you arrive to your space, please come to an all fours position. I'll coach you how to get there. Step your feet wider than your shoulders to the edges of your mat and bend your knees. When you bend your knees, let your booty bloom, but your ribs stay full, not just collapsing them here. They stay full. Relax your back, relax your belly. Bend your knees, step one hand to the ground and walk your other hand and coming into an all fours position, lowering your knees to the ground. Okay. First, start by stepping your hands a little wider and more in front of the shoulders. So the arms are shaped like a small vector. They're not narrow, they're wide. So your pinkies, oftentimes with most people's body shapes, the pinkies will graze the edges of your mat. Go ahead and curl your toes under, push into the ground to lift your knees. And instead of letting the ribs drop back towards your thighs, you're gonna reach your ribs more forward. Untuck your butt and step your feet to the edges of your mat. So your big toe mounds are on your mat and the rest of your toe, your paw, the front of your foot, other toes are off of the mat. Bring a small bend into your knees and shine your butt towards the sky. Push into the floor to fill your ribs and reach your ribs forward away from your hips. Take a couple of bend and extends. This is crouching cat in the Bowspring system. Lift your chin from your throat. Take a sweet breath, honoring this moment and honoring your body and your willingness to grow and get stronger. Then we're gonna step our feet hip width distance. Twisted cat. Arc your right ear behind your shoulder so your gaze is towards your right hand. Twist your knees to the left. For this variation, I'm going to coach you to lower your right foot and your right knee to the ground. Reach the ribs forward and begin to lift the left ribs into the air. Sit your bum back. If your left hand comes off of the ground, go ahead and dome it so it's coming up onto the fingers, and it's imagining that you're holding a softball. Lift your left ribs into the air, then sit your bum back. Notice if you're hyperextending your right elbow and bring a small little bend into it. Take a deep breath as you untuck your butt, softening your belly forward, filling your ribs, lifting your chin from your throat. And on your exhalation, lower your left hand, step your right foot onto its paw, and swivel your knees back to center. Twisted cat to the opposite direction, to the right. Arc your left ear behind your shoulder, and your gaze is towards your left hand. Twist your knees to the right. Reach your hips back as you reach your right ribs towards the sky, lowering your left foot and your left knee. As you lift your right ribs towards the sky, maybe your right hand transitions into a dome hand, imagining that you're cupping a softball. Sit the bum back, but don't let it drop. Do not let yourself tuck your tailbone. Widen the sitting bones. Lift the tailbone as you arc over your left shoulder. The ribs stay lifting forward as you root the hips back, creating a length through the belly, an opening through the side bodies. Lower your right hand. Shift your weight into your right leg as you step your left foot up, and then twist your knees to center. Slowly lower your knees to the ground and come off of your hands and take a moment just to feel and check in and pause. Okay, how you doing? How you doing? Those are the two variations of twisted cat that are really great for beginners, just to begin to open up the side bodies in this really powerful way. And now we're gonna jump into the full shebang of it. So I invite you to challenge yourself to push your edges in a healthy way, but don't over push it, okay? So that takes internal awareness and just checking in with yourself as we move through these postures. Let's do it. Okay, please lift your hips from your heels. Slowly begin to reach the arms forward as you sit the hips back, lowering your hands to the ground. Step your hands at that vector so they're a little bit wider and more in front of your shoulders. Curl your toes under and lift your knees into crouching cat. For this variation, please step your feet about hip width distance. Twisted cat to the left. Arc your right ear behind your right shoulder. Twist your knees to the left. Reach your hips back behind you, but also up. Push into the ground with your right arm to elevate your ribs as you extend your left ribs towards the sky. Bend your knees, but keep your sitting bones broad so you're not tucking your butt, and then extend. Maybe your left hand lifts into a dome hand, but you're not hyperextending any of your fingers. Bend and extend here as you lean back through your head, your heart, and your hips, knowing that you can always lower your right foot and knee as a variation. Sweet pulses for 5. Your pulses don't have to be big, but keep your ribs full through each pulse. And 1. Slowly rotate your knees to center. Opposite direction. Arc your left ear behind your shoulder. Twist your knees to the right. Push into the ground to elevate your ribs. And then sit your hips back and wide to the left. Push into the ground with your left hand to elevate the ribs, maybe doming your right hand. Lift your chin out of your throat and let your left ear arc behind your left shoulder. Sweet nostril breathing for 5. The more that you arc your ribs high and root your hips back, can you feel the side body get longer as a result? Slowly rotate back through center. Lower your knees to the ground. Walk your hands back towards your thighs. Just take a moment and notice and feel. And you did it. You engaged with some twisted cat with me. How you doing? How does it feel? Please let me know in the comments. Also, this is just like the smallest smidge of sharing what the Bowspring is about. It's a whole system, and it's learning how to inhabit our bodies in a completely different way. It's full embodiment, 360 degrees, all occupying the space of all of the 75 trillion cells that make up these bodies. So this is just a little glimpse into this phenomenal movement practice. And if you would like more of a glimpse, then I have many online offerings. I go into the depths of this very therapeutic healing movement system in my online courses. And so be sure to check them out if you are feeling a strong pull towards this practice. As always, it is so wonderful to serve you, and I hope that your day is a blessed and wonderful day. I'll see you in the next video.